It's Lieutenant Governor Dan Forest joining us here on the show. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, Casey?
What do you like to give away for Halloween? Like pocket constitutions or something? You know, really get the kids excited? How does that work?
Yeah, kids love those. I mean, especially anybody that's, between 3 and 4 years old. They love the pocket constitutions. Yeah. We do specifically the North Carolina Constitution, though, instead of the U.S. Constitution. They find that more interesting.
Well, you got to do it now before it gets so thick that they could choke on it after next week. So, all right. So, no, seriously, like, do you guys do anything there at like the Lieutenant Governor's mansion or anything?
Yeah, well, no, not at our mansion. We do at our house. We actually, live in a neighborhood with tons of kids now. So, I met half my neighborhood. We were here for, the first time, just moved in at around Halloween last year. And so it was our first introduction to the neighbors. But, man, we met like hundreds of people. And it's the best night of the year to meet your neighbors in my neighborhood.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And by the way, the reason, everybody, that Dan is in a new neighborhood is because climate change destroyed his old house. But Roy Cooper is here to fix that via executive order. Yesterday,
if I had only bought a Prius, everything would have been okay.
Well, yeah, you and 79,999 other people, apparently. So the governor signing an executive order Monday calling on North Carolina to cut its greenhouse gas emissions by 40% over the next 7 years. Now, at face value, I guess that's the top line statement, and I think it's kind of funny because the first thing that you mentioned to me when we were off the air was the thing that stuck out to me most. And that is, we're not talking about 40% from today, a 40% reduction. We're talking about 40% from 2005. Why do you think that might be from 2005 and not today, sir?
Well, obviously, just because there's been so much work done from 2005 up till today. So, I mean, who knows what this percentage, what percentage is left? That would be nice, wouldn't it? And you say, well, from 2005, we've already reduced it 30%, so we're going another 10%. Or what is that number? The fact that that's hidden in here somewhere in this executive order is a little strange. And when they say we're going to reduce energy consumption per square foot in state-owned buildings by at least 40%, year 2002. So how much has it already been done from 2002 to 2018 over the last 16, now 17 years? So, it's a little bit disingenuous when you're saying, oh, we're going to be, successful. But the caveat in this is, in the year 2025, he's not going to be governor anymore. So, you don't even have to, have a celebration if you don't hit the number. But it's just a little strange. And the top line is the one that should get people thinking. The state of North Carolina will support the 2015 Paris Agreement goals and honor the state's commitments to the United States Climate Alliance. This is the very thing that, as you remember, President Trump and his administration backed out of because of what this would cost the United States of America without seeing any real benefit in greenhouse gas emission reductions and those types of things.
Yes, and the whole hurricane thing was thrown in there as part of the justification. I like how the target has moved on that. We were going to be devastated by volume of hurricanes, and then we had this giant span of time where nothing touched U.S. soil. And then now it's the severity. We're on to the severity of it. So we may have we're not going to have as many, but they're going to be a lot worse. So that's now the proof that we need to do something. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at some of the other things. 80,000 zero emission vehicles on the road. Are they referring to drivers in North Carolina or state fleet vehicles? What's the cost there?
I think it's hard to say here because we don't have that many state fleet vehicles. So at least I don't think so.
Well, remember, it wasn't that long ago we didn't know how many we had at all.
That's right.
So,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they just want to increase the number of ZEVs totally to at least 80,000 in the state. So I'm not exactly sure what that means. I'm not exactly sure how you go about doing that. Is that just a nice suggestion to say we are going to encourage you to purchase these vehicles, or is there going to be some kind of incentive program given to this? There's no dollar figure associated with any of this. And I think that's part of it. Listen, I'm all in favor of reducing energy costs for the state. I think there's so many things you can do in state-owned buildings to make them more efficient. Making sure that we're paying attention to the systems in these facilities is one way to start that, and we've already been doing that for years anyway. But there is no cost associated with it. So what's the cost-benefit analysis to the people of North Carolina who are actually footing the bill for this? I think that's pretty important to figure out, right? Because a lot of these things, a lot of these plans sound great, but now what we've seen in California and even Arizona, if they move forward with their sustainability program for wind and solar, it could cost the people of Arizona about 50% more in energy costs per year. Now that's pretty significant. That's significant, especially low-income people and middle class in North Carolina. They don't want to have to pay more for their energy. They want to pay less.
Well, and that's why the lack of numbers in something like this, and you pointed out exactly what went through my mind when I read that. The way that we incentivize, the way the government incentivizes is two different ways, of course. It's financially, you talked about incentives, but it's also via regulation. Where in both instances, people better know what they're signing up for. Also, they're going to create a North Carolina Climate Change Interagency Council because we don't have enough councils.
We need another one.
Yeah, and that'll be chaired by Michael Regan, who's the Secretary of Environmental Quality here in the state of North Carolina, to focus on strategies to reduce emissions.
Yeah, listen, here's something that people should know. North Carolina is one of the cleanest states in the country. We have some of the cleanest air in the nation. We've done more work than just about anybody in the country. Obviously Duke Energy is located here. They've transitioned many of their plants over to gas. We have a big nuclear footprint here, which is zero emission as well. If we're talking about greenhouse gas emissions, then you need to go ahead and include nuclear and natural gas in there because they're extremely low emission or no emission. So I think that's an important thing to remember. I think everybody is in favor of clean air and clean water, and we've made great strides here. We have great air and great water, and nationwide since 1980, we have reduced the most particulate matter in our air by about 70%. 70% since 1980. So we've made great strides, but you think by listening to folks who are having these arguments that we're still polluting the air and everything's horrible in this country, and it's just not.
Well, I'm trying to remember what it says in the ad. There's an ad running on TV for, I think it's to bash on Chris Malone, a legislator, and they talk. What is the juice they're talking about? The hog farms are spraying it in the air. They've come up with a really fun branding name for it, but I think that. Okay. Yeah, I got to think that hog farms and lagoons and all of that would definitely be part of the quote strategies.
Well, did you hear the latest press the announcement from Smithfield about their lagoons? I mean, they are going to cover almost all of their lagoons in North Carolina and create biofuels out of them. Did you hear that? They had a press release, or they had a press conference rather last week. Did you see that?
That's weird. I really didn't get
WREL or the News and Observer. After all this talk about lagoons, and they're coming and they're going to do the most comprehensive, most radical thing that's been done with hog lagoons in the country or in the world, they're going to do, and North Carolina's going to be a part of that program, and you don't hear it anywhere. Does that make you question what the motives and the narrative is of the left?
Well, maybe they were busy. Maybe flu's going through the office. We don't know. Okay. Well, no, that's awesome to hear. I just like the term. Every time I hear the term hog lagoon, though, I can just think of those pigs in Exuma down the Bahamas and swim around with the people.
It's kind of like the Blue Lagoon for hogs.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to see a hog dressed like that. So one other thing here on the executive order front. Even though it's a national issue, it's definitely something here that's impactful in North Carolina. So Donald Trump, during an interview with Axios, said that one of the things he wants to attack via executive order would be an end to birthright citizenship. Likely, this is more about the legal progression of this, for obvious reasons, to the Supreme Court. You got a take on this? On the
I think that this is one of those things again where I think the president's doing what he can do without a Congress to do what they should be doing. Obama took advantage of all these executive order things, but I'd rather see Congress clarify the 14th Amendment, which was obviously ratified long time ago, back in the 1800s, to give citizenship to slaves, right, and their kids. That was the purpose of it. And it's the second clause of that 14th Amendment, not to get too in the weeds, but I know you know it, Casey, and you think about it, but it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. And that jurisdiction thereof is really the important part here, because you can either have political jurisdiction, which is the kind that they're really talking about in that amendment, or not, or just territorial. So really what you're looking for is people that are subject to the political laws of the nation, which does not include illegal aliens or anybody that just happens to wander into our country and have a baby, because they would be subject to the political jurisdiction of the country they came from. That's what the framers, founders intended this to be, and so that's the real language. That's what it should be, and this is something for Congress to clarify. When the Supreme Court goes out and makes a statement trying to clarify laws, and they don't get it right, it's Congress's job to come back and actually make that clarification. And so you have a president trying to do that because Congress hasn't done it.
Now, I know you're not a lawyer, as many lawmakers are, but
no, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
See, look at that. All right. Well, then that's why this is going to be so easy for both of us who are not lawyers to wrap our heads around, because we actually have the original intent document that was penned by the senator who wrote the 14th Amendment. And he says, this will not, of course, include persons born in the U.S. who are foreigners, aliens, or who belong to families of ambassadors or foreign ministers. And we actually, to this day, don't recognize the births of ambassadors or at the staff of the various. Basically, their kids don't get the instant birth because of that. That was the intent, and somehow the other half of it got separated.
You know, and American Indians did not get citizenship because they were subject to the sovereignty of their Indian nation up until 1924, and they had the Citizenship Act of 1924, and so that's when that actually happened for them. So that's even more clarification that original document back from the 1800s was not intended for this purpose.
Okay. All right, last question. I'll let you go. What are you dressing up as?
Probably a scary politician. You know, it frightens the kids more than anything else.
Okay, good.
Put on a suit and tie, stand out on the porch.
You can go in and do because I'll get let me just pen this or get this call out of the way, because I'm sure it's coming before the end of the day. What you can do is you can, when the kids come up, you grab their bucket and then you take a certain percentage of their candy and tell them life's tough, kid, and then slam the door in their face. So they get the message.
That's good.
And then slip the Constitution to them. All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much. There you go.
Casey. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.